policy requires leftover foods to be discarded. A carton of milk, once touched by the recipient, must be discarded even if it wasn't open. Food cooked but not served cannot be reserved the next day. Even though proper refrigeration and storage facilities are available, however, those rules don't apply at home. As penny wish homemakers stretch dollars as far as they can go, they usually find ingenious ways to serve all the leftovers until they are all gone. Leftovers, brothers and sisters, some view their lives that way. They see themselves as useless, unimportant, failures. Some who have failed in life, love and careers view themselves as valueless shadows of what once was a great life. The world discards leftovers, but what does God do with them? He gathers them up and uses them again. I wish I had some of them. He restores, refurbishes, and refinishes them. Tell your neighbor, God loves leftovers. As Christians, we are glad to know that we serve a God who sees our value and our worth and loves us. Even after we have made mistakes and stumbled in our faults, we are glad to know He loves us even if we don't get it right the first time. There may be some in the world that hate leftovers, but when it comes to compassion, God loves leftovers. We're trying to preach this morning from the subject, what to do. Somebody say, what to do with leftovers. Well, the exposition in this text focuses on an episode in the life of Christ in which He challenged those who followed Him to exercise their faith. Somebody shout, exercise your faith. Yes, He challenged them to exercise their faith and fruitility in their service to the kingdom. This is one of two instances in which Jesus performed a miracle that resulted in the creation of food for the masses. Jesus had been teaching His disciples and the multitudes about His mission as the Messiah. He told them that God allowed Him to perform miracles to witness the fact that He was truly sent from God. In verse 5, He starts to remind them that His was a greater ministry than that of John, and it was evidenced by His many miracles. As He spoke to them, He noticed that a large number of people had gathered to hear Him. The number of the crowd was about 5,000. Somebody say 5,000. 5,000. He seized the opportunity to give them another proof that He was sent from God. Turning to Philip, he asked, where could they buy enough bread to feed 5,000? It was an academic question because Jesus already knew what He planned to do, but the question was asked anyway. Philip said it would cost a small fortune to feed such a large number, not to mention the present He would set by feeding every large crowd that gathered to hear Him. Jesus had no obligation to feed the crowd, brothers and sisters. It was not required that he provided free lunches at all of his revival meetings. He provided food to make several important points to the followers. Number one, that he was truly sent by God. The miracles performed were a testimony of his anointed role. Number two, that God enabled him to provide resources for those who believe in him. And number three, the blessings once given should not be taken lightly. The 3 points I want to leave with you today is that Jesus was truly sent by God. And whenever you and I get in trouble, he can perform a miracle to meet us at our need. In addition to that, he is the God of resources. Somebody say, our God is a God of resources. And every blessing that we receive, we should not take it lightly. They ordered, brothers and sisters, they were ordered to sit in 100 groups of 50 and prepare to receive a blessing. As the 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes that were available to them were blessed by Christ, the disciples began to distribute them. Each time they reached into the basket, there was enough to supply every group and more. When all had been fed, Christ ordered the disciples to pick up all of the remaining fragments. There were enough leftovers to fill 12 baskets. The fragments were collected so that they would not be lost, implying that they could be used on other occasions. There was no guarantee that Jesus would always decide to feed a crowd. The leftover bread could be useful. I'm going to put a peg right here and then to check this thought. I can remember when my late mother would cook for us. It seems to me like the food after the prior day of coming out was better than the first day. Somebody here knows something I'm talking about. Trying to preach about what to do. Somebody say what to do with the leftovers. Only on one occasion is Jesus noted for feeding large crowds. A crowd of 4,000 was similar in Mark chapter 15 verses 36 through 38. In this instance, the people followed Jesus for 3 long days and had nothing to eat. At the close of the meal, there were 7 baskets of leftovers that were quickly all collected. By example, Jesus gave believers a model to follow. Somebody say a model to follow. Trust God for everything. Somebody say trust God for everything. Give thanks for God. Blessings. Take no part of a blessing for granted, even the leftovers. The 4th point I want to leave with you today is trust God for everything. Very often in modern times we approach life with considerable doubt. We worry from day to day about how we will make ends meet. While it is prudent and wise for us to weigh each life situation,